All right. Well, good evening. It looks like we are live. So hopefully everything's working and my audio seems to be working. So that's exciting. Awesome. Cool. Well, just doing some double checking here to make sure everything is working for the stream. And I can get to comments on my phone, just in case. Alright, so tonight I'm going to be taking a look at this scene here, which is a basic kitchen scene. And I'm really excited about this because, in fact, right now we're looking at a preview, just the clay render, if you will. Let's enable rendering. Oh, let's see, switch over to GPU. Perfect. And let's see, a couple other basic setup things here. Sure, why not? Denoising. Okay, cool. So there we go. Now you have a much better idea of what we're going to be tackling tonight. And the idea here is that I downloaded this scene from the webs, and the goal here is to do a couple things. One, actually backing up a little bit, my goal has been for a long time to create animations, and before that, something I'm hoping to do is create a bit of a graphic novel type medium that is based in a animated style. And with that, one of the biggest problems I've found with doing anything in 3D is just how long everything takes. So it really doesn't make sense for an individual artist to create everything himself. So this is a scene that I've downloaded. I wish I knew. Let's see if I can pull up the artist's name. Give him credit for that. So just give me a second. Searching the Google, and this is going to be, let's see, I think I found it. Come on. Oh, not quite. La-di-da-di-da. Ah, here we go. So the artist's name is, I think, let's see. There's a couple different artists I think involved in this. One of them's name is David, I think, or Davidi. I apologize for butchering your name if that's not right. I think it's David, and then Jorven is the second person who worked on this. So just wanted to give credit where credit is due. It's available for purchase on Gumroad by CNC Studio, and you can either purchase it, or I think it's actually free, but you can pay what you want. So that's nice. So I'm going to be starting with this scene, and the goal here is to basically customize it for my own needs. More of an experiment. I'm not sure that I'll use it for any final project, but more of just trying out the process of what I would certainly be doing for a published work. And the other thing, of course, is that the ultimate goal is to eventually get characters in this scene. And so that's going to be really exciting. I have a character worked up or put together, and hopefully I might be able to show a little bit of that as well. Some of the work that's coming together. I need some of the costuming and some other options for the character, but it's getting really close. And of course, the character is in some ways more complicated than this entire scene in certain ways. I actually switched to a engine for that. So all that to say, the ultimate goal here is to get this working with basically to bring in characters and to be able to customize scenes so that it's not just here's a generic scene that we pull off the web, but something that's customized to what I need it to do. And yeah, pretty much that. So to start, we'll probably end with the lighting. I actually have a lighting set up that's pretty close to what I want. Right now, this is sort of a daytime lighting setup, and ultimately I want it to be nighttime. But we will leave that to the end. So let's see. Okay, so first thing I noticed, and actually I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that I noticed when looking at this before. One, the panel, the screen on the refrigerator, it's really cool, but it's, in my opinion, way too bright, especially with the nighttime lighting. It just calls attention to itself, and that's, of course, is not only is it unrealistic, but it just doesn't look very good because it distracts the viewer's eye. A couple of other things. If we had more time, I'd probably switch the sockets to US. And that, I'm going to guess, is a European socket, electrical socket. Not a big deal. Let's see, what else? The microwave to me seemed really small, so I'm just going to enlarge it, and pretty much the rest of this, I basically just want to shake it up a lot. So for example, there is a little bit of variation here with some of the distance and things like that, but there's a number of things I've noticed that could make this more like make this scene look more like it's been used and that humans live here. So for example, yeah, everything's a little bit too perfectly aligned. If we're gonna I mean, really what we have to do is mess this up in a way. So we might throw dishes in the sink, have dishes on the counter. I'm not going to spend time adding textures to make the dishes dirty, but that would be something that would be possibly ideal depending on what our story would call for. Again, this is more of an experiment, but an experiment to kind of hopefully pave the way of creating an actual scene. So let's see, I might even erase a few things like the plant. Yeah, just little odds and ends here and there. Also, I've noticed that all the wood is exactly the same type, it seems to me. So I might lighten the chairs, or maybe darken them, but I'm thinking the chairs should probably be lighter. And then, of course, the rest of this can match, and I think I'm fine with that because it would make sense that it matches. Although possibly we may make the shelves a little bit darker. So let's get into this. Oh, and finally, we might possibly move these lights around. Maybe create a few more. I'm not sure. I thought about putting a light over this counter here. But the problem with that, of course, is that it would, especially from, depending on what angle we use, it might stick out and look odd. I mean, ideally, if we were actually framing this as if it were a scene from a movie or possibly a scene from a graphic novel that's done with the cinematic style, we'd probably zoom into our character who's sitting in this seat here, and we wouldn't even see these lights, but we might see them for a master shot. Okay, so let's get into this and basically just mess things up. So I might have to switch over to preview render, which of course is not as cool, but it also lets us move faster and lets us see a little bit closer what we're doing. Okay, so okay, one problem here, we might need to separate these into different objects, and I'm also going to check out, yeah, let's see, so these are a bunch of different pieces, it looks like. So I'm going to select all of that. In fact, make sure that we select everything here, and I'm going to separate that, and this one as well. Perfect. So let's see, I wanted to make the microwave bigger, so I'm going to just do what we might normally see in a kitchen and just bunch these up. Because again, kind of the goal here is a little bit of organized chaos. We want it to, you know, somewhat make sense, but also be a little bit more realistic in understanding that, a few other pieces here. Actually, a bunch of pieces here. Cool. The things are not necessarily going to be perfect. In fact, let's rotate our coffee maker just a little bit. And also this. I'm not sure if that's a cutting board or... Alright, let's see. Let's scale this guy up. No, let's see. Make sure, there we go. Something that looks a little bit closer to the size that I want. Perfect. I like the angle on that though, so I'm going to leave it as is. Now it looks like we have some plants, which are really cool, but let's see here. Oh, let me grab this, and I'm going to make sure that I turn snapping on. That's going to make things a little bit better. I'm going to move this down here simply because you're going to use knives a lot in the kitchen. Things like glasses you may not use as much, so it makes sense for them to be up here. The ceiling keeps getting in my way. And also, one of the other things I noticed about all this stuff is that normally it'd be closer to the edge, I think. And we add just, again, organized chaos. So let's put the teapot here. It looks like, for some reason, not sure why. There we go. Perfect. And then just rotate it just a little bit so that, and then of course we want this probably to be near the edge. Awesome. I'm thinking about moving the clock to this wall because it seems strange to me that it's actually part of the on the shelves. Cool. And then also let's take a look at the texture and see if we can scale this up. Yeah. Perfect. Sweet. Again, a key thing here is to make things a little bit, just a little bit off. And I think, I want to say the plates here, the plates are off a little bit, which is really nice. It's something I noticed. But, let's see, let's put these here. Maybe not quite so close to the edge. And rotate these, rotate those. I'll leave the books as is, even though it's really, there's some jitter in there. We might leave all this stuff there. They probably are not used as much, so they're probably not necessarily as close to the edge. Perfect. And then we might actually, let's take a look. All right. So already we have, I'm really liking that. I'm liking the microwave is bigger. I'm liking that. So just a little bit more chaotic, and that's kind of what we want. We want things to be a little bit more random. Okay, so let's see if we can fix this fridge. And we will take a look at the materials, screens in particular, and I'm sure there's a strength here. I'm going to cut that in half, maybe even more. That's a little bit better. We want something that's kind of faded, not quite so. Before it was like this, it's just glaring at us, and so that looks more like a screen. We might even be able to cut it down even more. Yeah, that looks good to me. Okay. And let's see. I'm gonna actually make sure that I save this. Perfect. All right, so I'm not really sure about this fruit, so I'm gonna just disable it from the render. Boom, it's gone. And then I'm probably going to start, looks like these are all one piece. So instead of this, I'm gonna probably just turn off all of these. I'm gonna make this an empty table. Perfect. And then this, I'm not sure where my origin is. There we go. Doesn't seem like we're, oh, there we go. Okay, this probably could stand to be bigger as well. Then we have these plants here on the table. I might leave those maybe. And then of course, one thing you'll notice is this kitchen is missing a dishwasher. Not sure if that's normal for European kitchens, but if we're going for more of an American style, and of course the ultimate goal is to have a universe that's more sci-fi, so we don't necessarily have to match either one. Perfect. Yeah, okay. So let's grab these chairs. I'm sure that the wood material is probably on everything. Let's double check that. Yeah, wood's on everything. So, and I'm gonna break this, and we're gonna have wood. Let's see, chair wood. Okay, and then we're gonna replace. Ooh. Maybe that did work. Okay. Not sure if these are linked in any way. That might explain it. Okay, well, that was simple. Sometimes if you have certain objects are linked to each other, that might have affected why that works so well, because I thought that was the same name. But okay, so let's make this lighter, and we're gonna need to target the base color. So let's say value is gonna be 6. Perfect. A little bit brighter, and that's maybe a little bit too bright. Let's cut down the saturation. Ooh, too much. Maybe not so bright. See, I want kind of a more yellowish hue. Not quite that yellow. There we go. That's a little bit. There we go. Awesome. Perfect. Interesting. Yeah. I wonder, somehow that's obviously not as dark as what we had before. In fact, what if we did 0.5? Okay. Let's see, 0.5, just experimenting here with values. Let me reduce the orange amount here. Let's see. Still a little bit too red. 0.52. Something like that, I think, probably will look pretty good. And it's maybe not dark enough, so let's maybe go back a little bit. Just fiddling with values until I get something I like. There you go. That's pretty good. I might have to come back and adjust that. Maybe a little bit darker. There we go. Okay. So far, so good. Let's address some colors. We can customize some of these. For one, I'm going to make this maybe more desaturated color, like that. And let's also do that with the coffee maker. Part of the reason I'm doing this is because we really don't need, we can have some color in the scene, but we really don't need the bright reds distracting us. Kind of the same thing with the plant. It's just a little bit too green here. So I'm going to add some curves. Oh, nope. Let's see. So this is the original. It's kind of this blue-green. Not terribly far off from like aloe vera, but I'm just going to reduce it just a touch. And it's not much, but sometimes the see how it's a little bit too. Actually, I'm not sure if it's more of the yellow green or the blue type green, but either way, it's just a little bit heavy, and reducing it actually goes a long way. other greens in the scene look good. So yeah, ultimately we've not done in some ways a whole lot, but we've also made a whole bunch of changes. And even though the scene looks a lot of ways similar, I mean, there's a few things, of course, like the chairs and the fact that the table is cleared that just make a big difference. All right, so I'm going to turn on this guy, and I'm going to separate the plate. Actually, hold up. Not quite yet. All right, I'm going to duplicate the plate and separate it. And let's put some dishes in our sink. Maybe a couple. And let me see if I can see through this stuff. Perfect. All right, let's see. I'm going to switch to general. Get more screen space here. And it looks like having trouble seeing through everything. All right, so there is the base of our. Hey, I got actually kind of pretty much on it. And then rotate this to match. Let's see, I think the sink edge is about right there. Then perfect. Oop, nope. Looks like not quite far enough. Let's see. Having trouble figuring out. Oh, I see. The sink is a weird shape. I got it. Okay, so I might do something like this. If we were getting really sophisticated, we could maybe use a physics simulation, but that's probably good enough. Right there, and then then let's see, duplicate it, rotate, maybe rotate this one too, rotate that, set it together. Oops, looks like we're going through each other. This doesn't have to be perfect, but of course we don't want it to go through itself, through another object. Looks like this is going through here. So at this rate, it may be easier to use a physics simulation. There we go. All right. Mainly just because I might. What if we grab just the objects we needed? All right, this might make it simpler for us. Awesome. And then we really want to rotate it from here, so I'm going to move my cursor Perfect. And we will rotate from the cursor and rotate that down to about there. Same with this. Awesome. That's looking a little better. We might even rotate this in let's grab the local. Perfect. Something like that. We might also pull this out just a touch. It looks like they're going a little bit too much through each other. And maybe down just a touch. Sweet. Okay. So now our sink has some dishes in it. We could probably spend more time on that, but that's what I'm going to go for right now. These are blue. I'm going to make them not blue if possible. Well, I say that. Is this blue? Wow, just a touch, but not anymore. Yeah, it was just a touch blue. I'm going to remove that. Again, we don't necessarily need distracting colors. And of course, there's other colors in the scene that could be distracting, but since we might have characters here around the table, we don't necessarily need those other colors. In fact, these plants could probably be moved. Let's see. Let's move these guys over here. Turn on. And something like this. Turn off snapping. Excellent. There we go. We have, that's doing, you know, even just having a few things is, few items, it's actually helping the scene a lot just to be more cluttered and more like a real kitchen. Now, let's see. I'm going to leave this shelf empty and move these over here just because it's so empty, and it'd be more likely for them to be on a lower shelf. So let's turn our snapping back on, and perfect. So far, so good. Another thing I noticed is that these look really small. So we might have to might have to make these a little bit bigger, make them more American sized. Let's see. Make this coffee mug. And this one would just be coffee mugs. And looks like the origin is below. So let's see how we can fix this. These we could probably just scale. So I'm going to do 1.5. Looking a lot better. So this guy. Ooh, I really like the glass texture here. A little heavy, but it works at a distance. All right, so cursor to selected, and then set origin to 3D cursor. Perfect. So then we will scale this at 1.5, scale 1.5, and go back, and there we go. That looks a little bit better. Before it looked like teacups, and now it's a little bit more like coffee mugs. Sweet. All right, so let's add just a little bit of chaos to the table. I'm going to duplicate this and add just 2 of these. And I'm going to hide the original plate and name this, just call this plate set. And I don't need the bowl, so delete that. I don't need this. In fact, I don't need that. Couple of things here. Let's see. All right, that's a little bit better. I like the cup. So this is a little bit more like it. Now I'm going to take this. You gotta be kidding me. There's separate parts to the spoon and fork. Okay, that looks like it worked. All right. Let's see here. Going to see, let's see, move this here. Maybe turn snapping back on. And just leave it. Might have to just eyeball this. Turn snapping off. And then perfect. Set that on top of there. And let's see, rotate this one. And if we wanted to spend more time, we could probably add a few different sets. I'm going to leave it like that. Then we will duplicate this placemat. Set and rotate around, and I'm just gonna, looks like there's 2 pieces to this plate. Let's see, hide, unhide, and then we're gonna move this here and maybe rotate it a little bit. Yeah, looks good. Just adding more chaos to the scene that looks like people are here. Perfect. And let's actually grab this. Might actually merge these back together. Grab this, and I'm just going to eyeball this and set it down. Perfect. So this is coming along quite nicely. Moving these chairs. There's of course much more we could do. We could bring in more props. We could address the fact that the appliances don't appear to be plugged in. We could address the fact that there's a missing dishwasher. Lots of little things. But that, I think, is... I'm going to call that good for tonight. So you can see just, you know, all the kinds of things that we can do here to make things a little bit more customized. Let me grab the stove. I'm interested in changing. What if we change this metal brass to, I don't know, something blue? Ooh. Maybe not quite so strong. Yeah. Little things here and there. Let's see the sign. I'm gonna actually, let's see if we can make this darker. Although, yeah, perfect. Excellent. And then this glass yellow. What if we made this a little bit blue? Just a touch. Just a very tiny touch. Let's see. Yeah, I'm liking that. Perfect. And tempted to change. I don't know. These are the shells are so insignificant in a lot of ways. All right, so this has gotta be more random here. Let's just shove these back and like that. And then it looks like we have some spices. I'm gonna actually take an entire one here, separate it, and put it down here. Let's see, did that work? Looks like it did. What's behind this? So let's see. Whoop. Try to decide where I want this. Just somewhere random. I like that. And then again, we might do this instead of a row. We might cluster this a little bit. And then push this back, and then push these guys together. Actually, in fact, I'm going to push this back. And then maybe take the entire set here. So as you see, that we've actually got a lot of space. So we could theoretically grab these guys. I think, because they don't really need to be over here, I'm just gonna put them up on the shelf. These are a little bit too organized. We might throw in some more chaos here. Boom. There we go. Perfect. So yeah, I'm liking this a lot better than what we had before. It's more random. It looks like it, rather than being something out of a magazine, it's more like people actually live here. Now, of course, there's certainly details we could address, such as the fact that the plates are perfectly clean even though they're on the table. Other little things here and there, the fact that this shelf is really empty. Although if we made it 100% empty, it may not be all that strange, especially depending on who's living here. But then again, we might say there's a special spot for the cookbooks, even though it looks like it's the same cookbook again and again and again. I might even just hide this. I like it, but let's do that. Okay, cool. That way that shelf is completely clean. So a lot of little things here and there that we can adjust and edit to our heart's content. I might push this microwave a little bit further left. And there we go. So I'm going to take a look at, make sure my stream is still streaming and everything is looking good. It looks like everything's okay. Perfect. All right, and what else? Okay, so now let's work on the lighting. So this is using a HDR image. I'm going to switch it to a sky. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to just completely remove the background. And so if we have no background, this is essentially what it looks like. Already we have kind of a nighttime scene, but we could add a little bit more light and not have it so dark. So I'm going to turn on my True Sky plugin, and I'm going to just copy some values here that I have. And just pulling up my experiment file here. And I'm just going to copy these values directly because I found that they worked well. And of course, you can see here, depending on what ultimate goal we wanted, we really have a lot of good options. So in this case, if we wanted it to look like daytime, but this is almost could be like sunset, or maybe not quite sunset, but basically I almost imagine like a beach type setting. So that's actually that's actually really cool, and I really like that. But I'm gonna make this nighttime, and I think we want this. This might look like kind of the afternoon, and using this, it's about nighttime. Now, this is of course way too dark, so I'm going to go to our color, and we're just going to copy the value that I used for the other file. Bada bang, and perfect. So that's looking a lot better. I think that's it for the lighting settings. Now, a couple things. This, of course, as you'll notice, makes it look especially unique compared to the original, that our lighting is completely changed. And as you saw in a couple of the examples, it looks quite different. Again, just, you know, if we see the original was, if I set this back, actually this is a brand new a brand new example, and so I'm going to undo that and get more to our nighttime scene lighting. There's one thing we need to work on, is the fact that True Sky creates fog outside. And a couple things we can do here. One, let's make a cube, and I'm going to make this a holdout material. I'm just going to call it holdout. So this will basically allow us to make this transparent in the render, and then we can replace that in post. Also, I'm noticing in this lighting that our chairs are still really orange. So let's reduce that a little bit, maybe more. Yeah, trying to find that balance of kind of a is it maybe birch? I'm not sure exactly what I'm going for, but or rather I'm not sure exactly the name. I definitely want these to be lighter chairs. So okay, we've made outside transparent. I want to add area light. And this we're going to, for the color, might actually have to use, yeah, here we go, use nodes. Pull up our color temperature setting here, and we want this to be blue, which I think is gonna be something like that, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna rotate it. Let's make this, switch back to our preview here. Size, make it fairly big. Make sure that it's shining in this window. So far, so good. We're probably gonna have to turn the brightness way down. So let's see what this looks like. Or maybe you have to turn it up. Maybe let's just, okay, cool. So we know it's working. And we get again, just the it's really fantastic to be able to take a look at just the different lighting options, which of course completely change the feel. I like that, so I'm gonna create a copy. But let's do 7,000 maybe. I want this to be blue, maybe 10,000. There we go. That's what I'm wanting, and that gives us a little bit more of that kind of night light shining in kind of feel. Maybe so many good so many good choices. I think we're gonna go with that. All right, so let's give this a render. This will take probably a minute. So far, so good. Something still doesn't sit right with the chairs. No pun intended. I think they're still not quite. Something's not quite working for me. Maybe not quite bright enough. Looks a little bit better. I think the quality could be just a little bit better too on these. What if we went, and I think honestly, I think the contrast is a little bit too, whoop. Yeah, I think the contrast was too high of the grain. It just sticks out too much. So if we fade that just a bit, then that might, we could probably add just a little bit more color. Yeah, I think that's looking better. Not necessarily perfect, but I think that's more of what I'm going for. All right, so far so good. Again, I really like the fact that the clock is kind of in the darkness, which works well because it's not a primary element, but we can still see it well. And let's see. Let's give that another render. And just replying to my comments here. Got this set up on my phone, and it's a little bit. I sent the message, and then it closed the comments. Perfect. Okay, so let's go into compositing. Use nodes. I'm gonna copy. Oh man, that's looking. I'm looking at the thumbnail. It's looking pretty good. I'm especially liking this blue lighting from the side. Now it's interesting because without the thing here, in fact, I forgot something. Let's see. Of course, we can look at this from a number of different angles, which is really cool. There's not, or there is, I can't tell. I'm gonna hide that. Okay, so yeah, there's not a face here that we need. So I'm gonna create let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Duplicate that, move it to a separate selection, and create a face. Ooh, nope, not quite. Probably have to, yeah, there's a gap here. Merge these. Nope. Okay, here we go. Merge at last. Cool. Nope. Well, okay, I'm probably going to end up cheating this anyway. Yeah, okay, so that's not what I want. Okay, let's try that again. What do we want here? Maybe make sure that I don't accidentally save something I didn't want. Render this. Something's still not quite working for me on these chairs, but it's like it's almost there. It may be just the wrong kind of wood texture. That's what my guess would be. But oh well. It's a problem when you're doing your own work. Show it to someone else, it's like, oh, that's fine. And then it's the things you never anticipated that they'll be like, oh, well, why did you do it this way? Let's see here. Let's see, one. Trying to, okay, perfect. Duplicate that, separate that. And, okay, so this should create a face, and somewhere, I can never remember. Oh, you know what, that's probably in here now. Normals. Okay, so just as I suspected, this is the wrong direction. So I'm going to flip the normal this way. Perfect. And that should be good to go. So then this, this object has inherited all these extra materials that we don't need. I'm going to create a new one, and we shall say, let's make this, I'm actually going to just use a simple glass transparent, mix these together. And then ray, oh, what's the name? Light path. Light path, perfect. And then finally meth. So I don't actually understand how this part works. I just know that, in fact, I don't even remember which one. Let me check real quick. This is going to be, well, actually it might be shadow ray. There's a couple different ways to do this. The end goal with this setup is to create glass that has kind of the reflection, but that's pretty much all that it's doing. It's not necessarily calculating the more complicated parts. Okay, so yeah, that's not doing what we want. Oh, it's probably receiving all this light and just going nuts with it. Maybe glossy? Could we do that? That's not giving us anything. Oh, hold on. The reason it's not giving us anything. Okay, so maybe it is ray depth or one of these other ones. Okay, well, we might have to do, yeah, just a simple, I'll have to learn. Supposedly there's some things that work well for that, but there we go. That's pretty much what I'm going for. Just enough reflection and maybe a little bit of roughness. A little bit of roughness to blur this out just a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. Surprising it's taking that much. Okay. Something like that. Hard for me to decide how much I want. Perfect. Okay. So what this will allow me to do is I still have a transparent background. I can still composite this. In fact, that may be too much, but we'll go with it. So it will let me create a dark background here that's composited in rather than part of the actual scene. And so far so good. Not sure why the compositing didn't get saved. I think we're good. Okay. I'm gonna copy, let's see if I can copy my entire setup here. And please, no. Can I not copy from Blender file to Blender file? Apparently not. So, in that case, I'm going to group this together. And let's see if we can import this. Import. Actually, it's going to be append. So it's in my tests. Here, node tree. And nope, not node tree. Oh, now I'm not even sure where it's supposed to be here. There it is. Okay. And boom. Perfect. So now, if we oh, I just realized my render window is not showing up in the stream, is it? Sorry about that. Let's see if I can fix that. Rendering. Render result. Perfect. Okay. Sweet. Okay, so if I do this, reconnect this. All right, there we go. So my glass is way too reflective. Let's tone that down. And render this again. And now we can actually see the render. Sorry about that. So the streaming software I use is only targeting the one window. That still looks too bright. Not sure what's going on there. Oh, I went the opposite direction, didn't I? Shading. Let's see. Perfect. Okay. I might have to play with that to find the. Ooh, that's not enough. I'm gonna have to play with this a little bit to get the perfect balance here of the reflection. I think that's going to be pretty good. There's also some ways to adjust the angle, which probably also be a good idea right now if it's just way too reflective. We probably want it to reflect based on the angle. Let's see. Come on. Oh, that stops the rendering, doesn't it? All right, cool. So basically I have a compositing setup here that I won't be able to get into tonight. Boom. That just adjust this. Now I feel like my chairs are a little bit too bright. Oh well. Oh, it also looks like all my plate stuff is missing. Probably didn't get set back to be turned on. But yeah, this is... So I have a compositing setup that puts a slightly bluish black background here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out something better than this because that's just, at this point, it's just a little bit too reflective. Of course, it's also probably too sharp, so there's that. But we're starting to get the idea, and it's also, yeah, probably too much light coming in from the outside. Even though that looked really good, it would work if we brighten this up a little bit. But yeah, that looks like there's. I mean, this might work for moonlight, but there's not really any moonlight in our window. So let's first figure out our missing plates and things. Let's actually make sure that these are turned off. I'm not sure what went on with those. Make sure that's saved. Grab this guy. Also, oh, and plate set. Turn these on and save. Make sure the silverware, and then plate. Oh, come on. Where? You gotta be kidding me. Surely, okay, so there they are. All right. Freaked me out for a second. Okay, there are plates in the sink. Not sure why they just got turned on, if that was a bug in Blender or what. Let's fix this glass. Let me take a look at some of these options here that different ways that people have it set up. I might do one that uses some kind of Fresnel based thingy. Basically it decides based on the angle. And let's close that. Okay, so Fresnel. Looks like Fresnel. Actually, that's not it, is it? Facing off. All right, come on. I've got to look at the Google for some reminders of how this might be set up. Bada bang, bada boom. Well, there's one option. Okay, well maybe we will. Maybe we'll use that. And what do we want here? We probably want a multiplier, or at least, there we go. Decrease this. Maybe make this a little bit blurrier. And, ooh, looks like we've lost our area light. What's going on here? Okay. Things are not quite as transparent. Yeah. I might have to experiment with this one. So if I do that, okay, yeah, that's gonna let in the light. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to play around with that, I think, a good bit. Overall, I'm liking the results. Truth is, I could probably even use the raw render without compositing, but compositing just gives it a little bit better feel. So, yeah, this looks like kind of a street light. So I'm gonna take our area light, and I'm gonna, in fact, let's see, I'm gonna move. Well, I might just leave it there. I'm going to say 8, so about cut it in half. Something that still gives us light, but not quite so much. There we go. That looks like it might be a good bit better. There we go. So we have, it still looks kind of like a street light, but it could be moonlight. It's not quite so obvious. And let's see, take the look here so that you guys can see it too. So I keep going to my render window, and I'm liking this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Very different than the original image. You may have to go back. In fact, let me see if I can quickly. I'm not sure that I can quickly go back and forth between the original and the new one, but I might be able to actually create a workaround real quick. All right, so GPU 54 denoise and OptiX, cool. All right, and let me save this real quick so I can bring it into the other window. Blip, 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 blue. Where do I want to put this? Kitchen. And let me pull it in here. View image, open. Original kitchen. So here's our original. So this is what we started with, and the render result is this. It's quite a bit different. Much different mood. It now looks like it's nighttime. It now looks a little bit better as far as just some of the grouping of the items. Our microwave doesn't look like it's just, I don't know. The other one looked tiny to me. And again, this may be more of an American thing, but the coffee mugs seemed really small. I think they were more like teacups, which of course, if you're going for something that is a more concentrated, then of course you want something that's smaller. But that's just something I'm not as used to as an American. And apparently it is 1 o'clock in the morning. Because it's definitely not 1 o'clock afternoon. All right. Well, that is it. Hope this was enjoyable. And hope my goal is to do more of these. I apologize in retrospect for any, I'm not used to doing a whole lot of streaming. So there's certainly a pattern and kind of a procedure for that. I apologize if there's things I missed or if I didn't explain everything I was doing. But still experimenting with this. In fact, this stove color, it's probably not unrealistic, but something about it is standing out to me. So I'm going to come back here and... Do I want green? No, not green. Maybe it is too green. Something like that, I think, is a little bit better. And maybe a little bit less saturation. Just enough to look blue. Now it looks a little bit purple. There we go. Something that's not quite as bad. It's just a little bit off, in my opinion. But yeah, I appreciate anyone who's watched any of this, especially if you've watched it all the way to the end. Hopefully, if you're into 3D, this gave you some cool ideas. If you're not, but just like watching the process, hopefully this was cool. And let me know in the comments if you have any questions or any suggestions for improvements. Not necessarily for the scene, but just ways I can make these streams better, more interesting. Please subscribe, like, all that jazz. Hit the bell, something like that. The things that all the YouTubers that actually know what they're doing will ask you to do. And yeah, hopefully I will see you in the next video. Take care, guys.